He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the wall. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go.
Welcome in, Class 4A fans. My name is Cade Nissen, joined by the one and only Andrew Brown. You're here to see rankings. We're here to give them to you. Make your Monday just a little bit better. I know everyone hates Mondays, but this is your reason to look forward to them just a little bit. I still understand why you don't, but hey, we got rankings. We got 3 new teams inside of our Class 4A top 15. We're excited to bring them to you, and in fact, why don't we do it right now? There it is. Boom. Right in front of your screen. You can sit and think about it as Andrew and I talk to you. Linmar, Southeast Polk, and Liberty, 15, 14, and 13, all brand new. Pleasant Valley and Cedar Falls also move up in the rankings. My story here that I want to talk about as I'm about to die, Andrew, is Southeast Polk. Southeast Polk 5-0. Honestly, looking back at what they lost in the pitching, what they lost in their lineup, the Rams lost a ton. We had no clue what to expect from them, and so far, so good. A doubleheader sweep over Roosevelt, a doubleheader sweep over Ames, and a opening night win over a good ADM team. I do have to give a shout out here. I'm going to post his graphic tomorrow, I do believe. How about Alex Williams, sophomore for Southeast Polk, in one of those doubleheader games against Ames? 6 innings, no hits, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. We had a no-hitter. We didn't post about it yet, so I need to get that post up tomorrow, Andrew. Alex Williams, circle the name, slot it, Sharpie it, whatever it is. We got to keep an eye on him as the season goes on. But Andrew, the rest of these teams, we got 2 other new teams and 2 teams rising in this little subgroup here. What stuck out to you?
Man, one thing I love, I love Liberty. I love what they've done the last 2 years in the very short existence as a school, making it to the state tournament each of the last 2 seasons. But a good start for them coming out at 3-1 overall, and the lone loss that they had was against North Scott's Kai Smith, which we've talked about. We put up a huge graphic of what he was able to do in that game. And honestly, when you take a look at that body of work and go, okay, you went up against a really good pitcher and it just didn't come out your way. But overall, you took down a good Bettendorf squad, and Cedar Rapids Wash you ended up taking to the shed. So, hey, you did what you needed to do right out of the gates, and I think you did it well. I love the coaching staff, and I think, man, this is going to be an exciting team. It may not show it in the record as it has in the last couple of years, but they are now, I think, on that pedestal of teams we can look at to say, hey, you're not going to trick us 3 times. You are definitely a team to watch out, and they've started as such.
Absolutely. Ton of movement, as we said. Let's get right into our top 10 here, Andrew, where we've got a little bit of movement. Some teams holding their ground. A team I want to talk about quickly, Waukee Northwest. We talked preseason. They were really high in our preseason pitching staff. We said, hey, if this team can come and hit, this team can compete at a high level. And so far, team hitting at a 325 clip. They're winning games, and they're winning them pretty well. I got to shout out Tanner Jackson, a junior. He had a
Yeah.
2 home run game against ADM. I did see that. He posted those videos and tagged us on Twitter. Hey, you have a highlight and you got a clip of it, post it on Twitter, tag us. We're going to share. We're going to get it out. I'll get it on Instagram if I can. We get a ton of them sent to us, but we're excited to help grow the game in the state of Iowa. So Tanner Jackson, shout out to you, 2 home run game. I do also have to give a shout out to what I believe could be the budding star of the Waukee Northwest pitching staff, and that is Chris Peterson. In that game where
Yeah.
they beat North Polk 1-0, Chris Peterson, 7 innings on 92 pitches. He went a complete game on 92 pitches, 2 hits, no walks. He hit 1 guy, and 8 strikeouts. So Waukee Northwest, kind of my team I'm circling in this little subgroup here. Andrew, who kind of stuck out to you?
Oh man, I Walking Northwest, definitely one that I like. Gosh, they were kind of the team I had pegged to make kind of the biggest jump here. But as you kind of take a look, I do like what I saw out of to start things off a little bit from Matama, a little bit from East. But I kind of like what I saw out of Dowling as well as they started off. Again, not a ton of action, but certainly enough movement. I think there for but. You know what, man? I'm gonna have to go back and agree with you on Walking Northwest, and what can you say? You talked about it. They needed the hitting, and now they are second in 4A with 81 total bases. So, they've added the piece that a lot of people wanted them to add, and you know what? And then on top of that, they lead 4A with 51 strikeouts. So, you know what? You talk about those two guys, and I echo that just the same. This is a team that I think last year they may have taken a little dip, but I think that was only to spring load into what is going to be a good season for them this year.
Absolutely, Andrew. And as we go ranker to ranker, obviously each class has a different ranker. Some of them are more harsh and moving guys up and down. Obviously, their class 4A ranker, a little bit more lenient week one, which I totally understand. Sioux City East, we've got them moving up one spot. They're 2-0. We had to put a question mark because Sioux City East bound is a little funky right now. We're not quite sure. We know they've won 2 games, but
Yep.
their schedule looks a little funny. So if anyone can fill us in on Sioux City East, we believe they're 2-0 at least, so we're gonna go with that for now. Atumwa holding down number 8. They split with Valley, lost a really close one to Indianola. Dowling just 2 games, winning them both, and Prairie splitting a few doubleheaders. They will hold on to that spot just outside the top 5. Let's get into the top 5 though, where I'll say every team inside the top 5 has impressed thus far. Starting
Yes.
with DCG 5-0, playing the Raccoon River in the first week. Ballard, Carlisle, and Boone, and looking forward, I see ADM, I see winners that might as well stick them in the Raccoon River Conference at this point. No, I'm just kidding. They're Raccoon River's right around their neck of the woods. You gotta love them playing the local teams. But they also got a doubleheader win over Urbandale. DCG has impressed. The offense has performed. Andrew, you got to see this team.
Yeah.
What'd you see in their 2-0 win over Ballard?
What I saw is a lot of instances of defensively they did great. Ballard, give them credit because they took DCG to a lot of offense, but a lot of Ballard's offense came with 2 outs, and that's what we've seen across this week. A lot of 2 outs where offenses are starting to get going, but that one hit that maybe goes awry and it's the out that ends the inning. So what I've loved about DCG is they can quickly get you to 2 outs, especially if they have Keaton Fenn, who had 15 strikeouts in that season opener. Just a fantastic performance. But yeah, they get you quick, and it's kind of like they're playing with you, kind of gauging where they're at, and then they strike hard. They hit the ball hard. In that game one, there's just a lot of atom balls at that point. But you saw that as things gone on, as the week went on, they put up a lot of good performances. So this is the holistic team, man, and I think DCG. If you're a DCG fan now, don't be surprised if you make such a high jump that you're gonna vie for that number 1 spot. Because I am really high. I know we both are really high on what DCG can do, and they had a fantastic week.
Absolutely. And if you click on the Bound homepage and you go to baseball and you look at the home run leaders, you see 2 Mustangs right there. Now everyone's chasing Grant Mather right now, but Tayton Gray with 3 homers in the first week, and you've got Keaton Fenn with 2 homers in the first week, and that's just what I'm seeing right in front of me. So DCG, the offense is coming to play. The pitching is playing as we expected. So obviously the Mustangs are off to a hot start. Moving on, though, inside our top 5, we do have movement. I don't know if you guys were expecting it, but we do. City High. Our Class 4A ranker did drop them 1 spot. It's again, this is one of those things. You're not really faulting the Little Hawks. It's more about a team maybe just having a little bit more impressive of a first week. You're pulling straws from a hat at this point. So let's talk about City High quickly though. 4-1 on the year. Their one loss was in a doubleheader split to Prairie. I'm noticing they're playing a lot of close, low scoring games. City High, obviously, a team I saw firsthand already. I loved being around them. I knew their pitching was going to come to play. They got plenty of arms. The offense is going to play as well. And honestly, I mean, City High, you're off to a good start in 2024.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've found a way to do so without hitting the big ball. right? They don't have a home run. In fact, only 5 extra base hits on the season so far. And again, I know it's early, but they have found a way to have a 4-1 mark despite only just 5 extra base hits the entire first week slate. So it is impressive, showing that they can lean on that defense and that pitching, and they can do so and still win those games. So offense, I think, is just going to click a little bit further, and they're going to get on that scoring spree. I know it. And I love I love the coaching staff, as you mentioned, this phenomenal group, and I think they're poised to continue that run. And I think it's just semantics, when you take a look at, who's up, who's down a little bit. But in this case, man, you can't fault where Iowa City High is. You just can't. They've earned that spot, and you can't argue it. I think that you might be able to argue should they go up a couple spots, but man, that's a tough one. But I like what's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're splitting hairs at this point, but we got
Yeah.
to talk about the team that jumped him, Andrew. And we were talking about offense. Kennedy, they are bringing the offense now. An
Woo!
absolutely insane first week. Everyone's talking about Grant Mather and his 5 homers, but let me tell you, Andrew, they got 5 home runs outside of him. 10 home runs
Yes.
as a team in the first week. Holy cow! Nolan Graw adding 2, and then Owen Anderson, Ty Donalds, and Owen Hutchinson also adding 1 apiece. Andrew, they've almost got more home runs than doubles at this point, which I think is absolutely incredible. Cedar
Yeah.
Rapids Kennedy out of the gates, flaming hot. Class 4A ranker said, "Hey, this team needs a bump." I agree with him. What are you thinking?
That's 100%. I the only issue I have is maybe they could be bumped higher. It is. They are certainly. You know what? They played 6 games. 5 of them have been labeled dominant, meaning 5 or more runs they have won by. And you know what? Gosh, they've put it all together right out of the gates. They've almost had. They're too shy of 100 total bases in just 6 games. That is. I don't care where you are, who you're playing. That's impressive. Unless you're playing. I don't know, little league. That is right? Especially in 4A. And they've come out of the gates there, and 39 strikeouts as a team. They're not letting anybody score, and they're doing all the scoring themselves. So it is hard not to like Kennedy. They're my team in 4A that blew the week 1 doors right off. And I think that honestly, the sky's the limit for this squad.
Absolutely. Well, you're talking about the sky and the limit in Class 4A. You know who we're talking about next. There is no
Oh
movement
yeah,
here. There's no movement. Johnston, though, off to a really impressive start. We knew about the offense, obviously. I mean, they're hitting 368 as a team. Tyne Whedon already has 3 triples on the year. The team's hitting. They're up and
yeah.
down, balanced across the lineup. The question mark was the pitching. And so far, I'm impressed. I'm looking at their numbers. 30 innings pitched, 1.87 ERA, a 103 whip. They've got 34 Ks as a staff. Adrian Brodus, he could be the guy to lead the way at the front against Ames. He had 5 innings, 9 Ks against a good Ames lineup. Allowed just 1 earned run and 1 hit. Opponents are only hitting 147 off this Johnson staff, and I know they're not in the CIML schedule yet, but so far so good for Johnson. You'd have to agree.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. You look at it, already 3 batters with 10 total bases or more. I mean, Keiko is 1 shy of that, so you could do a half of one if you wanted in there. But I mean, honestly, they're in the top 5 in terms of extra base hits. They're it's like they came in midseason form. Watching them, and I know you got the look of it too, and I know you feel the same way. Gosh, they seem like they come in and go, "What question marks did you have? Have we answered them right?" Yes, right out of the gate, they've answered those questions. And I know there's more to be had, but you know what? They did not shy away from it. And gosh, I mean, they're going to have some guys that we haven't heard before that just step up. But then again, you talk about some of those guys, and you still got Nuss, you still got Keiko, as we mentioned, and Whedon. You can't think enough. You can't think enough about those guys. Truly, I mean, at this point, Johnston, I think, has a solidified spot in the top 2, especially the way they're played. I think that they're going to have to win or lose 10 in a row for us to take them anywhere close to out of the top 5. But that will never happen, I don't think. I think that this team is truly so strong. they've got it down to a T, and the question marks that we had, they just I think they wanted them specifically answered in week one.
Absolutely, and I know 1A, 2A really hasn't played a ton of games yet, Andrew, but 5 through 1 and 4A is looking dangerous, and I could really see either way how you wanna rank them. DCG, Kennedy, City High, Johnston, and then obviously I'll reveal them right now, number 1 Ankeny Centennial. Really loaded 5 through 1, loving Class 4A right now in the depth. Speaking of Centennial, not as much to talk about for them. The Jags only playing 2 games this week, and I want to give them a shout out. They played at Rippey, Iowa. Played in
Yep.
Rippey, Iowa against Roosevelt. That is so cool. I love that. That is absolutely incredible. They also got a 10-0 win over Gilbert. A little bit of a heavier this week for the Jags. They've got Hawkeyes to start CML play tomorrow, or I guess today being Monday. And they've also got an intriguing one in the Tim Hagen Classic. If you're looking at the schedule, I see North Polk at 11 a.m. on I believe the 25th would be Saturday. So
Yep.
that could be
We'll be
one you
there
got to.
broadcasting those
Oh,
games.
you
So
will. Okay.
yeah,
Hey, we'll be there broadcasting. Yeah, North Polk, Ankeny Centennial, our first clash of two teams really highly in their respective classes. So the Jags, Andrew, not a ton to talk about. Well, but what are you
yeah.
seeing early on?
I mean, they're doing what they need to do. I mean,
Yeah.
Roosevelt was a strong team. I think their strong team just got off to a bad start overall, but they put on a show. There's a home run, a couple of home runs starting off. I believe Alberhosky and I'm pretty sure Okie had one. They hit one very far. In fact, they could have cleared, as I was told, almost two lengths of Walt Anderson Field. I mean, it was all the way into the pickleball court. It was beyond 300, close to 400 in terms of feet. It's just impressive. These guys are striking the ball hot, and a lot of them are coming off of their club seasons, and they're coming into this, and they've already been playing for some time. So this is a team you're not going to face. You're not gonna get one quick over them. You're going to have to truly earn it, and yeah, we're going to get that test coming on up here at the Tim Hagen Classic because they also have the Davenport North, who, again, that's the Clayton Bolkema led Davenport North. So that's going to be a fun slate for them coming on up. And last year we saw them absolutely run the field in this Classic. So we'll see what happens this year.
Absolutely, and the story obviously with Centennial being Joey Okie, yet to see him pitch so far. It'll be interesting to see when we see him deployed. I wouldn't be surprised to see him Monday against Waukee. I mean, I'm
Yep.
no betting man, but I'm gonna say there's a shot we see Mr. Okie throwing, but they haven't needed him. I mean, Albert Hosky and Will Morris taking the starts in both
Yeah.
those games, and both those guys have thrown excellent. They're deep. They don't just have Okie. They've made that very aware, and we've known about that for a while. They're deep, they're loaded, they're ready to go. And we've had all four number ones hold on to their spot heading into week 2. So it's just going to shape up for a ton of fun. But that's it from Class 4A. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. 18 minutes of a ton of fun. Andrew, we're done with all 4 classes. This was our final one.
Woo.
I will see you next Sunday.